co-host, Dr. Marissa Caudill, and today I am really excited to be welcoming Dr. Olga Deengar. She is trained as an internist and hospitalist, but now is doing her own thing as a coach for women physicians. So welcome, Olga.
Thank you. It's great to be
Yeah, I'm
here.
thrilled
Thanks
to
for
talk
having
with you.
me.
It was a pleasure to be on your podcast. Thank you for having me there. So tell us, how did you make this shift? As you know, SuperDoc Stories podcast is about featuring physicians who have made or are making the shift from an employed position to some novel way to use your skills, whether that's practicing medicine or coaching or some fusion of those things. And you've done that beautifully in the last year. So tell us about your journey.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm fairly new to the game. My entrepreneurial journey started in April of 2025. Um, that's when I started my life coaching business, Coach Olga MD. It's where I coach women physicians and professionals through a framework that I've created. It's called the DAMA Method. DAMA stands for driven, aligned, building momentum, and taking action. And this is a framework to help set and achieve very meaningful goals in any area of your life: relationships, your work, your recreation, your personal growth, any area that you want. And my journey started in actually it's been going on for a little while. So when I graduated from my residency program in internal medicine in Connecticut, I worked as a full-time hospitalist, and I loved my job. I was working very long hours because I was still adapting to the new hospital system, the EMR, seeing all the patients, getting all the notes done. So my hours were pretty long in the beginning, just like
Yeah.
any new physician, new attending physicians are. But over time, I started feeling like I have to do a little bit more. Like, is there anything else outside of medicine that I can get involved in? So I thought, well, maybe I should just join a couple of committees. So I headed the VTE committee and the hospitalist communication committee, and that started taking up more time. Those efforts were good. Then I started teaching I started becoming a teaching attending and having involvement with the Quinnipiac University, that's the medical school in Connecticut. And that was a lot of fun. I was putting together presentations and cases to review for the students. And I enjoyed that. And then I was picking up a lot more shifts too, especially on the weekends to help pay off my loans and my husband's loans. And I did all that. And it's like, I got to the point where all the loans are paid off. I'm heading all these committees. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what's next? I still was trying to find that meaning, that fulfillment in my life, which I wasn't getting 100% of in my full time job as a hospitalist. So when I started looking at different things, I started researching. I went on Google. I looked at other things that doctors were doing, and that's when I discovered the PIMD community and LGA and semi retired MD. And I was so inspired by all of the different ways that other doctors are trying to bring in multiple sources of income, multiple streams of income. And I thought, this is really cool. You can invest in real estate. And I had no idea how to do that because nobody teaches you these things in medical
Nope.
school and residency. You can start a business. You can build a community. I mean, there are so many different ways to bring value to people. And I started listening to different podcasts, audiobooks, reading personal growth books, things to really help create come up with ways to get creative. And it took a while to think of something that I really want to focus on,
Can I
but
interrupt you? Because I'm just curious. So you finished your training which year? Okay.
in
So
2021.
you're so young. You're a baby. I forgot how young you are. And then what was the timeline for, so you got your attending job, and how many years in was it before you were like doing this deep dive into what else can I be doing? Semi-retired MD, real estate investing, LGA, all that stuff.
Yeah, so it was only like 2.5 years. In 2023, I was already kind of burnt out from working so much and not having that sense of
Yeah, I think this is
fulfillment.
such a common, well, I think it's a testament to you that you didn't suppress that inner voice that was telling you, like, there's got to be more kind of feeling. And some people don't have that. I don't want to criticize people who like being attendings and like working in hospitals. That's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful job to have. But the commonality for people who I interview on this podcast and the people that we're working with at SuperDoc Tech and the people we meet in communities like LGA and semi retired MD, I think is that there is this like inner sense of this is good, but there's the sense of like, isn't there more? Or this feeling that you could be doing more and you're somehow being throttled by your environment. So it sounds like you felt that pretty early on. And I don't know if that is exactly burnout. It does feel like burnout because you feel like you're kind of throttled, right? Like you want to go more, faster, do other things, and the environment you're in, the hospital system doesn't let you do those things. So I think people who are very driven probably are more likely to be burned out, but it's not the same burnout as someone who's just hopeless and, not motivated. It's kind of the opposite, in fact. It's like burn up, not burn out. I don't know. I think that's really astounding because Mona and I, my co-founder, we've talked about it. For both of us, it was about 4 to 5 years in. But I would say the feeling started about 2.5 years in of like, I don't know. Did you have that sense of like, I don't think I can do this for like 25 years? Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I mean, going through all of the training that I did, I also felt like I was betraying myself in a way. Like if I was stepping away from being a full-time hospitalist, then what did I do
Mm-hmm.
all of this hard work for? How crazy is it to become a locum hospitalist, instead of working full-time? But I also wanted to get those moments back with my kids, especially because they were so young at the time. I was working long hours, so I didn't see their first steps. I didn't know when they started talking first. I just came
Oh.
home and they were babbling. And I miss that. And I wanted to have more meaningful moments like that. So that's why I think that's what kind of drove me to make a change. I focused on what are my values and how do I align with those values better so that I can live my most
Yeah, so
fulfilling
that's
life.
beautiful. So that kind of brings us to this DAMA framework. So I love the outline that you described in the acronym. Did you come to this through your own journey? Tell us more about how you came up with this direction. No, action's the last one. What's the first A? Alignment driven,
Driven,
aligned, momentum,
aligned,
and then action. Okay, love it.
and action. Yeah. It's a funny story. The DAMA acronym actually came from talking to one of my
Uh huh.
mentors, Dr. Peter Kim. And I was asking him about community building, and we're having a chat. And then he said, "Why don't you come up with a name for the community that you want to create?" Because I was thinking about creating a community for women to help empower them, to inspire them. And I thought, well, what would this community be about? And that's how I sat down and I came up with this acronym of DAMA. And then what's funny is that Dama also means dame in
It
Spanish and
means
Russian.
lady.
And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
born in Russia and
And
fluent
German.
Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah. It is perfect.
it's like a
Mm-hmm.
ladies club. So Dama was the baby of the Dama Club, which is our
Okay.
community on WhatsApp. And then I created the Dama Method because I saw all of these amazing women. Most of them are physicians, being very driven. They were aligned with their core values. They were building momentum by taking those tiny action steps that build confidence and make the next action step a lot easier to take. And they were just continuing to
Mm-hmm.
hustle,
Well, I
follow their
imagine it's really
passions.
rewarding to work with women physicians because we're working with a lot of women physicians and I love it. I think it's a great group, obviously. I mean, I'm biased, but um, so tell me about the community. What does it look like to be part of the DAMA community right now? How do people get started with it? Where would they go to find more information?
Yeah, so the DAMA Club is an exclusive WhatsApp community. You should go to my website, coacholgamd.com, to book a consultation to see if this would be the right fit for you. Because sometimes it's not the right fit. People are in different seasons of their lives, and sometimes this type of community is
Hmm.
too busy. We have posts every day. We have great discussions going on. Um, we help each other overcome challenges, give each other strategies of, oh, how did you tackle this? How did you tackle that? And a lot of it is accountability and support. We also have monthly meetups, we do webinars, we have guest speakers that come and deliver incredible talks on all sorts of different topics. We've done topics about goal setting, time management. It's really exciting because there's so
Hmm.
much involvement, but it can be a little overwhelming for someone who is just coming in and seeing all of these messages every single day. It could be a little much, but I think it's so powerful and so inspiring. And as you know, there's such incredible value in having a community
Yeah.
because you get to share all of this information with one another and uplift the other members
Well,
in the
that sounds great.
community.
That sounds beautiful. So, where are the members of your community right now? Are they all over the world, all over the US? You mentioned you have meetups. Are those virtual meetups or in person
Yeah.
meetups?
Yeah, so all of the members, the majority are in the US. We do have some members in Canada and even in Europe, entrepreneurs in Europe as well. The all of the meetups are virtual for the time being because it's hard to get everybody together, but we are planning to have some in-person retreats to really help bring that connection and make that connection a lot stronger for
I
the
love
women
it.
in the
So, what's your
group.
vision for Dama? Like, what do you hope it will be in 5 years, in 10 years?
I hope that everybody is going to know about the DAMA method and they will be
It's
DAMAing
a verb. I
their
love it.
lives.
Dama your life.
It's
I love that
a
vision.
verb. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to grow it, and I would love to have more women physicians and professionals join in. There's so many ways to get inspired and get so much
I
value
think
from
there's so
it.
much power in that, also in just, fighting burnout, because it's all about your focus, right? So if you can help women physicians who by nature, I think women by nature are like this more than men, just by biology and social training, to be very much like caring and giving and usually putting other people's needs ahead of their own, or often. And then when you add on that physician and mother, it can become very easy to
Mhm.
feel spread too thin and to kind of lose yourself. So I think there's a lot of value in helping women, instead of feeling hopeless and like there's nothing I can do, have a framework that they can use to feel more connected to themselves, purposeful, driven, like with a goal. I think that's beautiful. So I'm tell us some success stories. Like, what are some of the things that the women in your community have been able to achieve?
Yeah, so one of the women who's a physician was really struggling with navigating motherhood. She was a new mom. She is a new mom, and having a baby in the house while working as a full-time hospitalist with 7 on 7 off was a real big challenge. So we worked together. I helped her through this. We did some coaching sessions together, and she was able to really regain control of her life, regain that energy back, that confidence, instead of always feeling drained and coming home and being so tired. She was able to actually teach herself to be present with her loved ones. And that was a huge transformation for her. She wasn't as focused on her career, and she started making more time for her family because that's what her core value was, is to spend more quality time with her baby and her husband. And she has been actually like the
That's
happiest
great.
person I know because her whole mood, her whole energy changed through using the DAMA method and through coaching. And she's very grateful for the whole community. And to this day, I mean, she's part of we have
Mhm.
accountability pods within the community as well. And she
Mm.
is on fire. She's got all these goals. She wants to build her social media channels and really create more content, get more collaborations. And I'm so excited to be able to
Oh, I
see
bet it's
her
so
through this
exciting.
journey.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like when you I don't know what it is about a coach. It's that outside perspective that sometimes can point out something that when you realize it, you're like, oh yeah, that's so obvious. But somehow when you're in it, you don't see these things. I mean, I've had a lot of coaching over the last few years, and my most recent coach helped me so much in our first session. And it was exactly like you're describing, right? Like you helped her realize like you have a newborn at this phase in your life. This is your value. This is your priority. This is number one. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing, right? And it doesn't mean you can't have a successful career. It just means right now, this year, the next few years, probably like trying to climb whatever career objectives is not the priority. And you can't have both things, right? So I think the conflict, the drain comes when we believe that we should be doing both, right? It's that should, which is such a bad word, but it's so
Yeah.
ingrained in our female brains, right? Like I should, I should, I should. And it leads to so much guilt. And so when you can help someone see, oh, actually, I don't need to do that thing that's making me feel so drained. And if I weren't doing it, I would have so much more energy. That's what happened with my coach. It sounds like you're an excellent coach because you're helping people to find the same thing. Um, but it can be hard. So it sounds like in that case, this particular physician you were working with was able to quickly embrace her new identity as a mother and that is her priority and her value. And there wasn't a lot of conflict around that. Sometimes, though, there is conflict, especially when
Mhm.
there's life transitions like that. So have you had clients who are struggling a little more with that transition and didn't so quickly like jump into alignment?
Great question. Somehow I
Nice.
haven't yet. Like I said, I'm still early on in this journey, but so far the women that I have worked with are very motivated. They are driven. They're looking for ways to create more meaningful lives for themselves. And I think it all comes down to really understanding where your thoughts are coming from, realizing that if you're faced with any type of circumstance, you can look at it from a different lens. You can have a different perspective. And like you mentioned, the language that you use in your head
Mm-hmm.
also matters because instead of saying I should, you can say
Right.
I get to. And that can transform your entire perception of the situation. So I think once you hone in on what your thoughts are and why you're having those thoughts, where are they coming from? Give yourself room to have some compassion with yourself about where things are standing right now. And then think about ways that you can shift those thoughts, shift that mindset, and believe in the new thought that you create around that same circumstance. And then that will cascade all the way down to going from having your thoughts to having the feelings around the thoughts, creating the action and the
Yeah.
results that
And it's
follow.
amazing how that happens. And I think we've both experienced this in our entrepreneurial journey. You were just telling me that you are still working as a locum tenens physician while you're building your coaching business.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is your plan? Like, do you like clinical work? I like clinical work too. I don't really want to give it up entirely. Is your
You.
intention to build the coaching business so that it is all you're doing, or do you like to maintain both aspects of your identity?
I like to maintain both, but I want to practice
Hmm.
medicine on my own terms, which is why I like the flexibility of being a locum hospitalist. I get to make a trip out of it because I
Hmm.
work in Toronto, Canada. As a locum hospitalist, I have privileges at 5 different hospitals, and it's really exciting to be able to pick and choose the shifts that you want to work because there's so much demand for doctors, at least right now. So it's good to have that flexibility. It brings in extra income, which I can put into my business or other investments that I'd want to do. So it's a really great work-life balance. I feel
That's
like I've
amazing. And
nailed it.
like in terms of how much you're working now versus when you were a hospitalist, do you think hours wise you're working as much, more, less? Do you feel because here's where I'm getting to. Like for me, I think I'm probably working more now that I have my own business that I'm so passionate about than I was when I was a 8 to 5 Kaiser psychiatrist. But I am more energized despite working more because I'm more aligned and passionate about what I'm doing. Do you experience the same? Or when you say you've nailed the work life balance, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I have too much
It's a
energy.
good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, just like you. I mean, I go to sleep late because I'm so energized. I'm working on different ideas and creating things, creating content, thinking about topics that I want to have for future webinars. And then I wake up super early because I'm working on the business and all of the different things around it, because that passion, that drive is so big. It's so powerful. It's just very, very exciting. And my locum hospitalist work, I work a lot less. I work about 25% of what I used to. So used to be full time, but now I work less. But the funny thing is, I actually make the same salary as I used to by
Wow.
working as a full-time hospitalist. And the difference there is because in Canada, being an internal medicine trained hospitalist is a very
Mhm.
lucrative job, actually. Many listeners might not know this, but you can actually make up to like 3
Wow.
million a year by working as a full-time internal medicine
Wow.
hospitalist. It's a fee for service model, and it's kind
So
of
are you like
wild.
a 10, well, I guess I don't know anything about working in Canada. Are you a Canadian citizen? Okay.
I am, yep, and it's
That's
like
what I was
being a
going to ask.
1099,
Okay.
independent contractor.
Very
Yep,
interesting. See,
exactly.
so I think this is a great example of how I'm just thinking right now. I was looking at a Facebook group of pediatricians that I'm in, even though I'm not a pediatrician, I'm a child psychiatrist. So I'm in this group. And someone posted there that for the last 5 years, their group has been squeezing them, and she has experienced a 20% pay cut. And so just like hearing this, I was like, oh my God, like
Mm,
just my gut was churning for this woman, because I'm like, that, like, no doctor should have to do that. And already peds is often the lowest paid specialty when you see all the different specialties ranked. And I'm thinking, this person feels stuck and
right.
feels like they don't have other options. But I think what you just said is a great example of how there always are other options out there, and you just might not know them. Because I had no idea. $3 million a year for a hospitalist, that's pretty crazy. American
Yep,
hospitalists do not make $3 million a
mhm,
year. I don't think even the locums ones.
oh,
So that's an interesting thing, because I think as Americans, we generally think Canadian doctors are lower paid than we are. But here's an example of where that's not true. And maybe that's just a lie that we've been told. Um, so is that just because of demand and
it
like
depends
they
on
don't
your
have the
specialty.
trained doctors to do it?
Well, that too. There are definitely shortages. There are fewer medical schools across
Mm,
Canada compared to the US. There's definitely shortages there. However, it's actually the pay, it's a fee for service model that's specialty pay based. So, depending on your specialty, it gives you a number of how much you could bill for a specific visit. Internal medicine is one of the higher paid specialties. Of course, surgery and things like that are also higher paid. And family medicine actually makes about half of what
wow.
internal medicine makes, which is also, again, very like wild because we do
Mm-hmm.
almost the same work. Family medicine takes care of the
Right.
OB patients and the kids as well. We're only adults, 18 plus, but it's just such a strange model.
Every model is strange,
And
right? I'm
it's
really not
as
familiar
soon
with
as you
Canada's model. I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole. But so when you say it's fee for service, but Canada has a nationalized healthcare system, right? You're saying basically the Canadian version of Medicare, their national healthcare, dictates that fee based on specialty. And if you're an internal medicine doctor,
yes,
that fee is quite high. Okay.
yep, and you
So it's
build the
interesting because that's
government
not
directly, and
how
the
the
government,
US works, right? We're on these CPT codes, not specialty based. And so it's very different.
private insurance.
Oh,
Yeah, there are a lot of private
yeah.
insurances, of course, and then Medicare, Medicaid in the US. But in Canada, you bill the government, and the government gives you the money for it as an independent
Interesting.
contractor. And it's kind of funny. When I started, I was like a recent grad ish, and I was making the same amount that my boss made because we're both internal medicine trained, and we both went. We were working the same hours. We were like seeing the same number of patients, relatively speaking. So it's it's kind of strange how there's no like incentive, or like the stipend that is
Mm.
given is very minimal for those who are senior to us, who have been practicing for longer.
So
So
that
there's
was
that
when you were
disadvantage
like
as
first
well.
in attending in Canada? Okay.
Yeah, so after Connecticut, I moved to Canada and I was an attending there for about a year. I worked as a full-time hospitalist
Oh,
in a
okay.
rehab center. So kind of doing like a geriatrician's work. You can diversify your practice as much as you want with internal medicine. You can take ED shifts. You can work as a hospitalist. You could do outpatient. You could do rehab work. So there are a lot of
Very
opportunities for
interesting. Did you go
internists.
to the University of Connecticut? Did we talk about this already?
My husband went to the University of Connecticut. He did his fellowship there in pulmonary
Ah,
critical care. But I went to
okay.
Norwalk Hospital. It's a Yale
Okay, cool.
affiliated
I don't
hospital
think I knew that
where
we
I
had
did
this
my
connection because I went to the University of
residency.
Connecticut, but I'm much older than you guys. I finished in 2007. I started in 1999. Um, I didn't ever work at Norwalk. I worked at Waterbury Hospital as a rotation. I know
Oh,
Quinnipiac,
yeah.
obviously. I had friends who went there from, I'm from New Hampshire, so New England is kind of home or was home for me for a long time. Very cool. Well, I love this conversation. This was
Oh,
very eye opening, both about the Canadian medical system and all these things. Now I want to like ask you offline, like, what about psychiatrists? What are psychiatrists making? If I can be making $3 million locums, maybe I'm going to fly to Toronto too. um, but that's really interesting, and I think what you have tapped into with this connection to women who feel like, what am I missing? Why do I have this feeling? Why am I drained when I know that my work is fulfilling and meaningful, but somehow it doesn't feel perfectly in alignment? I think that is a wonderful opportunity that you've really delivered on, to be coaching people to help them with that with your DIMA program. So thank you for talking about that with us and for being such an example of a super doc in action.
thank you. Yeah, my mission is really to empower women physicians and professionals to help them regain that confidence, their energy, and just live more fulfilling, meaningful lives with intention. That I think everyone should be doing that,
Yeah,
not
definitely.
just
But
women.
you're choosing
But
the group that aligns with you, right? And that lights you up, which is perfectly fine and good. So I can't wait to have you back on our podcast a year from now and hear more about what you're doing. I'm sure by then you will have had your first in-person retreat and it will be amazing. So thank you for coming and sharing this with us. Everyone, the information about Dr. Deengar's program will be in the show notes, the links to her website. Do you want to give that again for our listeners?
yeah, so my website is www.coacholgamd.com. You can also find me on Instagram under Coach Olga MD. I'm also on Facebook under Olga Med, and I do have a business Facebook uh, site as well, Coach Olga MD. And then I also have a podcast, which I had the honor of interviewing you on. It's called Coffee Plate Aid Podcast. It's for aspiring entrepreneurs. You get to hear inspirational stories about doctors doing incredible things outside of their clinical work. So definitely tune into that. And I'm excited
Yeah,
to
well,
be on
I'm
this
so thrilled to
journey.
have you here. Can't wait to support you and see how things blossom in coming years, Olga. It was great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Marissa. It was a pleasure. I'm always honored to talk to you. You've been an inspiration for me, and I admire all of the
Thank you so
work that
much.
you do.